This video is going to help you complete your Google Sheet project for 2.3 2.4 worksheet number 1. Now it's assumed that you've already watched the 2.3 notes videos and taken extensive notes about how to do this. And so this is just a quick refresher to help reinforce those ideas. All right, you want to make sure that you're logged into your Google account. And honestly, I recommend being on a Chrome browser. I'm actually going to add that in for projects. And then you want to make a copy of the Google Sheet for this project available at this link. All right, so if I click on the link, that's going to take us to all the data sets for the course. So we want to find the one for the particular item we are working on. And we are working on 2.3 to 2.4 worksheet number 1. All right, so that's right here. So I'm going to click on that link right there. And then this is not your file, so you can't start typing in it. So what you have to do is you have to make a copy. So you want to go to File and make a copy. You could also, if push comes to shove, download as an Excel file if you absolutely need to, but I would much more recommend making a copy. Now when you make your copy, it does help your instructor if you put your last name in it, in the file name. It's not the end of the world, but it does help on their end just for file storage and other things and file maintenance. So I'm going to click Make a Copy, and then this will be my copy that I can actually type in. You don't have the ability to type in the original one. I do, but that's because I own it. But you would not have that ability, so there won't be many options available to you. Once you make a copy, then all these other ribbons and other things will be available to you up in the top. All right, so now we want to be able to find the midpoints, the total of the frequencies, the relative frequencies, everything, right, with draggable formulas and autofill capabilities. Okay, so that means that we have to grab our notes and look at what we said from 2.3. We want to find the lower class limit plus the next lower class limit divided by 2, and that will get us the foundational midpoint. Okay, so if you have an open-ended class at the beginning, you can't do it in the first class, but we actually don't, so we can actually do it right here. So you type equals, parentheses, and then the lower class limit for this class is 0, and the next lower class limit is 50. So 0 plus 50, close your parentheses, and divide by 2. That's following that formula. All right, and I found the foundational midpoint, and I'm going to double check. 25 is between 0 and 49, so this is good. So now, how do I find the rest of the midpoints? I take my foundational midpoint, which I already found, which is 25, and I'm going to add the width, and I have to drag it. Well, that means I'm going to need to find the width. The width is the next lower class limit minus the lower class limit. All right, so I'm just going to type that in down here. It's not strictly required for you to type it. It's just can be nice. So if I look at these lower class limits, like 50 take away 0, that distance is my class width. And you can kind of see it visually when you look at the classes. It goes from 0 to 50 to 100 to 150. It's gathering by 50. So 50 is our class width. So I'm going to click on the cell B3. You can see that it's blue. And I'll type equals that cell I already found because I have to use cell references and autofill capabilities. And I'm going to add 50. And I'm going to hit enter. That's great. That added 50. So now I'm going to go back and click on the 75 cell because it has the formula embedded in it. And I'm going to move my cursor to the bottom right corner and it'll turn into a little plus sign. And then I'm going to click and drag it down. And if you're on an iPad or something like that, you can also, or if you don't have a mouse and it's harder to click, you can also use a copy feature. So you can copy, Control C, copy, and then Control V, paste, 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 paste. That's the equivalent of dragging. It's just a little slower because you don't have a mouse. All right, all the midpoints have been found. All right, now we need to find the total of the frequency column right here. Now you might notice if I highlight all of them, you can actually see the total in the bottom right corner, but that doesn't count for the project. So you actually have to find the total with a formula. And the formula is the sum formula, and it should happen automatically. If you type the equal sign, see, it knows what you want. And it says right next to it, tab. If you hit the tab button, it'll fill that in, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. We want it to add up all of these values. You can see it actually highlights it in a little orange box. Perfect. All right, now relative frequency is the frequency divided by total. And this you have to be very careful about because Google thinks it's brilliant and you have to watch out. See, Google's going to try to fill in C2 divided by C8. And that's close to what we want, but not perfect. So don't do that. You want to type it yourself. C2 divided by, and if you remember, I wrote this down, but right, C2 divided by the total, and you could write the total as a number, or you could do $C $number. One of those two, right? So you can either just type 92, right? 92 will work. That's perfect. And this actually is correct autofilled, so you can click the check mark if you want. Or you can say, I want to use the cell reference, C2 divided by, and this is where Google messes you up because Google just puts C8, but it should be $C $8 because that makes the formula draggable. So make sure you fill in the dollar signs if you're going to use the cell reference, right? If you're not going to use the cell reference, you can just say 92, and that's perfectly fine as well. So I hit enter, and this time it doesn't autofill because it thinks that's not what I want. So I'm actually going to click on the cell and drag it down, and there we have it. All right, now I want less decimal places here, so I need to get all of them blue. So you can do that by, if you accidentally clicked somewhere else, you want it so your cursor's an arrow, not the plus sign. You're not dragging. Make it so it's the arrow and you highlight all of them. If you're working without a mouse, you can hold down your shift key and hit the arrow down button several times, and that will work. And then you want to use this button right here, which decreases the decimal places. And you just want to click it until you get down to 3 decimal places. And if you go too far, no problem. You just click on the other one that increases the decimal places, and there you have it. All right, beautiful. We found the relative frequencies. And notice they add up to 1 in the bottom corner, just like we would expect, although you could find their sum if you're interested. All right, now the cumulative frequency is a little strange. The first cumulative frequency is the same as the original cumulative frequency. These two values are going to be the same. So you could just type 63 if you want, or you could type equals this cell, that's fine, but you don't want this autofill. This is wrong. So you click the little X because that's not what you want at all. But if you want to type 63 just as a number, great, fine. But then you want to gather. So the reason it's the same as the first one is because there's nothing to gather. But then you want to accumulate these values. And the easiest way to accumulate is to take the value you just found, which is in cell E2. So equals E2 plus, and then C3. That's the formula we wrote right here. Right? E2 and C2 are the same. E3 is equal to E2 plus C3. And then we drag it down. And I will tell you, Google gets smart after a while and starts knowing that's the formula you want if you're always using your Google account. All right, so then I'm going to click on that 80 cell, and in the bottom right corner, I'm going to turn my figure into a plus sign. I'm going to drag it down. And there we have it. And you'll notice these two numbers match. If they don't match, you've done something wrong. It should be 92 there. All right, now the cumulative relative frequency. Well, you found the cumulative frequency. That's the hard part. Relative frequency is the same as it was before. You just take the cumulative frequency, which is E2, and you're going to divide by the total. And we wrote this in our notes, right? You take E2 and you divide by the total. The total can be either the number, which is 92 in our case, or you can use the cell reference, but you have to use dollar signs. So whichever way you want to go with that. So I could just type 92. That's fine. Or I could say $C $8 because that's 92 is in cell C8 and I want to lock it in, right? The dollar signs make it a fixed reference is what it's called. It's a locked reference. And this is perfectly good. I'm just going to click the check mark. I don't need the 0 at the bottom. It does that. So I'm just going to get rid of that, delete it. And then I'm going to highlight all of these by it's not dragging, it's highlighting. So you kind of make it so your cursor's an arrow and you hold it, your left mouse button down as you drag down. Or you can shift arrow down, either way. And then you make it so you have less decimal places. And that's it. All of those are found. We did everything for that piece. All right, now the other thing we need to do is make a chart of the frequencies. So you want to highlight the frequencies but not include the total. And then you want to select Insert and Chart. So that's pretty straightforward. You highlight the frequencies. Again, highlight, not dragging. So you use the arrow cursor and you drag it down, or click on this cell frequency. You don't even have to click on that cell. You need the 63 and hold down your shift button and arrow down. Just do not include the 92. And then you want to click Insert and Chart. And there it is. And there's a chart editor over here, which we don't need, so I'm going to close that. And then you just want to move this thing around. So if I click on it so that it's highlighted in a blue ring, and then it should be shovable. You just click and shove it with your mouse or drag it around with your pad on your laptop. And there you go. Put it to the right or put it down below, whichever way you like it. It doesn't make any difference. Just move it around so it's not blocking the view of the table. And then we're ready to go. All we have to do now is upload it into Canvas. So you go to the Share button and you have to change it. It should be originally locked. Mine is not because of the folder I'm in. But it would be restricted originally, and you're going to change it so that anyone with the link is a viewer. And then once you've done that and made it so anyone with the link is a viewer, then you're going to click Copy the link, and then you're going to go to Canvas. All right, here I am in Canvas at this assignment. So it's the Google Sheet assignment. There will be a video in here because I'll post this video in there. But then you're going to go to the web URL. So you click web URL, and then you just paste your URL that you got from Google. And then you click Submit Assignment, and you're in. Everything is submitted.